We will begin the program this evening. My name is Eric England. I'm the Executive Director of the Catawba Parish Port Commission. I also serve as the President of the YMCA Board of Directors, and it's a privilege to welcome all of you here tonight for this mayoral forum, the first of many that I'm sure will be held throughout the city during this election cycle. We have a small program that's going to be led by our Chief Executive Officer, Gary Lash, just to give an update on some of the activities that are happening at the Y, and I'll hand it over to him. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. I want to reinforce again what Eric has said. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, and I want to thank these individuals for wanting to step up and lead our city, because we are involved in making a better community every day. They have stepped up to do that. You have come out to be able to choose one of these guys and lead the rest of the community. Your interest is showing on the forefront that you want to see Shreveport continue to be a better place to live. So I thank you for that. On our board, in our board meetings, our staff meetings, I usually give a Y minute. So I thought tonight I'll be real quick and give you a Y minute or three about what the YMCA does. We're trying to do these, we are doing these events to, number one, make people feel good about Shreveport. Number two, draw attention to some issues that we need to clear up that these folks are going to help us do, and that you're going to take a big part in helping do. So first the first thing I want to do is, if you don't mind standing with me and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll say a prayer, then I'll show you a couple things we're doing to make our community better. Thank you. I pledge allegiance. Thank you, Lord, for letting us come here freely in this country to take part in this political process that we are so known for in these United States and in this state. Thank you again for these that have come out. Thank you for these people that have stepped up to be candidates for mayor of our city. And we want to bless them and honor them, and bless us, Lord, for this process. We ask in your name. Amen. Amen. So what we do in the community is we build community every day in this facility. If you come up here, look, some of your members, you'll look around and see what's going on. So if you can see this, we purchased the Little League property just across the street about 18 months ago with capital outlay. And if you're familiar with Little League, this doesn't look like it. That property is going to be renovated in the very near future with 9 ball fields. The Cattle Commission is helping us with this, because we're going to bring all kids here to play Little League sports, baseball sports, soccer, some other things like that. Another project we have, that's hard to see, we were building a YMCA at Forbing. Remember, I took a lot of heat because we sold about 20 acres of Camp Forbing, and we kept about 18 acres as a placeholder to have something in that part of town. So we now build, if you drive by there and you go out to that area, the Kroger Marketplace, they dug the swimming pool, they're pouring the foundation, so they're getting after to be about a 40,000 square foot facility that's full service, gym, workout, CrossFit, all kinds of things that you'll have. Also, this is hard to see. This is a property that's across the street behind this BHP, or now Delta Pathology building. It's about 130 acres, and we're turning that into an outdoor education center. It's going to be phenomenal to be right in the middle of town. So we gave up Forbing, something good, to get something great across the street. So our campus will be about 150 acres right here in the middle of town. So it's going to be phenomenal for our community to have the baseball, to have this, and things that we can involve kids and adults in. Some very good things, and you're not going to have to travel to Broussard, to Starlington, these places to play. Another thing that we have done, we have a program called Safety Around Water. Every second grader is bused here by Caddo Parish Schools, and it's a water safety program, both in water, out of water. And this is the 4th year, this past school year is the 4th year that we've done this, and we had 12,000 kids come through here in that 4-year period and learned water safety. So hopefully down the road that will help our community. So I'm going to turn this over to Jeffrey. Jeffrey Goodman is our Marketing Development Director, and will explain to you what you're about to see here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Eric. Sorry. So I wanted to welcome everyone first off. As Gary said, my name is Jeffrey Goodman. I'm the Director of Marketing and Development here at the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana. We really appreciate all of you guys making the time to be here tonight. I wanted to quickly mention a few things before we get started. Tonight is part of a larger initiative we began here at the Y back in late February. This initiative is called Shreveport Bossier, My City, My Community, My Home. It consists of two components: periodic panel discussions and a weekly interview series. Tonight is the third panel we've hosted, and we've published 19 interviews to date on the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana's YouTube channel, on Spotify, and anywhere else you go to access podcast content. The purpose of this initiative is to create more awareness around the positive aspects of our community, to help cultivate a healthier self-image. We also want to leverage our position at the Y as a community center to bring people together, to create more awareness and to address some of the challenges we're facing as a community. Tonight's forum grew out of a realization that we have a number of people, the 10 folks you see in front of you tonight, committed to trying to make Shreveport better, who have taken a leap and run for mayor. We wanted to give everyone an opportunity to meet all the candidates and learn more about them. So a few quick things about tonight's format. First, each of the candidates will have 2 minutes to provide an introduction of who they are. We then have a list of 7 questions that each of the candidates will answer. Each candidate will have 1 minute to provide a response. We'll then conclude the forum with each candidate taking 1 minute to talk about why he or she should be mayor. We expect tonight to be an informative and cordial event. Please be respectful to all of the candidates. We will not allow questions from the audience, but at the end of tonight's forum, each of the candidates will make their way to one of the 10 tables set up around the gymnasium, and they will be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. So with that, thank you all again for being here. We look forward to it being a great night. And so, Senator Tarver, we'll start with you. John, are you ready? Okay, hold on one sec. Let's try one more time. Okay. And candidates, what will happen is John here will hold up a sign when you only have 15 seconds left. Then you'll hear an audible timer when your time is up, and we please ask you to end what you're saying within seconds. If you do not, we will turn your mic off. So Senator Tarver, please begin with you, and then we'll go from Senator Tarver to Councilwoman Fuller, and in order across the table.
Thank you very much for inviting me and the rest of the candidates. My name is Greg Tarver. I'm running for mayor of the city of Shreveport. Let me give you a little of my history. My family is from Shreveport. We've been here 125 years. We run a mortuary, we run an office supply company, and other companies that my family run. Let me give you history about my political career. I was on the city council, the first city council in the city of Shreveport. I served with Mayor John Hussey for about 8 years or 9 years. We had a good leader, Jim Gardner. That is when the city council was really working together for the betterment of the city of Shreveport. Then I decided to run for the Senate. I ran for the Senate. I won the Senate from this area. I placed on finance once I got into the Senate. Then we started getting money for the city of Shreveport. We worked $100 million that was allocated for the inner section of the I-49 here in Shreveport. Over $61 million for the LSU Med Center, $27 million for Southern University, and $10 million for the Amtrak. I did not do this by myself. We worked together for the betterment of Shreveport. I see we have Senator Peacock here. He worked with us. We looked at what is good for Shreveport. We didn't care if you were Democrat or Republican. We didn't care if you were black or white. We just joined hands and worked together for the city, because that is what we need right now. If we don't have something, if we don't do something about the city of Shreveport, we're going down further. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Lavette Fuller. I am currently serving the city as City Council member for District B, and I'm running for Shreveport to be Mayor of Shreveport because I can no longer accept the things I cannot change, and I have to change the things that I cannot accept. I believe that this community has everything that it needs already to be a wonderful and prosperous place. We don't have to wait for a hero to come and save us. We just have to understand that great cities don't just happen. They're made by caring individuals coming together to work for the greater good. We have to understand that we're more than just untapped potential, but that we have to go out and really push for our shared sense of purpose. I look forward to sharing more of my vision for our community over the next hour and a half. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tom Arsenault, and I'm passionate about Shreveport. In 1981, I volunteered on a Shreveport Chamber of Commerce task force that resulted in the city's first ever property standards code. From 1982 to 1990, I served Shreveport's District C as councilman. While on the council, I authored ordinances that revamped the city's budget process to make priorities and decisions more understandable and more transparent. While on the council, I served as chair of the Utilities and Audit and Finance Committees, as well as chairman. I was a constant advocate for the enforcement of property standards. Since then, I've remained part of the public policy discussion in Shreveport in a variety of volunteer positions. Elizabeth and I live in the Highland neighborhood. We know from personal experience the frustration of slow-moving enforcement of property standards and the refusal of owners of blighted properties to either sell them at a price where someone can restore them or restore them themselves. We understand the frustration of gunshots in the night. I served 13 years as a member of the board of directors of the Highland Restoration Association, including 5 as president. During that time, I played an active role as a volunteer participant in the development of the Great Expectations 2030 Master Plan and other activities. I've been a businessman, owning my own practice and being part of law firms and the management teams in those firms since 1983. Elizabeth and I have been married over 29 years. We have a blended family of 3 children and 7 grandchildren, the youngest of which was born last week. I love Shreveport, and I ask for your support and your vote on November 8th.
Good evening. I'm Mayor Adrian Perkins, and I'm so happy to be here today. I want to quickly just thank the YMCA for being our host tonight, and I want to thank each and every citizen that came out tonight to hear from all the candidates. and informed citizenry is what truly makes our city great. So thank you so much for being here. A little bit about my background. I'm born and raised right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. I was born in a Cedar Grove neighborhood. My mother raised me and my 2 older brothers as a single parent. We did not have many resources whatsoever, but what we didn't have in resources and finances, she made up for in values. My mother made sure to raise us in the church. She made sure that she raised us with an emphasis on education, working 2 jobs and going to college, earning her bachelor's degree before I got out of middle school. And she emphasized hard work by working those 2 jobs to make sure that we had food on the table at night. I was that kid that grew up in the neighborhood hearing gunshots. I was that 3- and 4-year-old in the 1980s that was sleeping under his bed because of the spike in crime that we had here in Shreveport. But fortunately, because of this community, because of each and every one of you, I was able to, by the time I was at Captain Shreve, I was an all-state athlete, I was my class president, and I got a nomination to West Point after watching the Twin Towers fall on 9/11. I decided to go to West Point to serve my country, to stand in between those individuals that perpetrated that incident and you. I graduated from West Point as the first African-American class president. I went on to Harvard Law School after serving 8 years in the military in Iraq and Afghanistan. And when I had to make a decision on what I would do with all those degrees and all that experience, I chose to come back home because I owed this community. Like I said, each and every one of you were the village that I was raised in, and I chose to come back home and serve. And I was elected in 2018 and have been serving this community through a pandemic, through an economic crisis, and I'm asking your support to continue to serve the next 4 years so that we can keep pushing our city forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lauren Anderson, and I would love to be your mayor. I love Shreveport, and I am so happy to see so many people here. You don't even have seats, but you're still here. A little bit of my background. I went to Bossier Parish Community College for a year. That was a fun time. I took lots of different classes to see what I liked. It was affordable. The cost of living here is very affordable. One of the many things I love about Shreveport. I got my bachelor's from LSUS with a minor in Spanish. I love my foreign languages department. Foreign languages for a student, it opens up an entire world. And I would like to see more of that in Shreveport. But I do not really like talking about myself. So what I would really like is after this, we have a meet and greet. I would like for every single one of you, if it takes all night, I don't care. Every single one of you, approach me, introduce yourself, let me know. What is it? What do you need from Shreveport to make you feel safe in your home? What's gonna make you feel safe going out to walk your dog? What's gonna make you feel safe going across town to get something because it's not offered in your neighborhood? Finally, ultimately, my goal, what's gonna make you feel proud to say, I'm from Shreveport. I live in Shreveport, and I am proud of that fact. What's it gonna take? Tell me. I wanna know. I don't have all of the answers. I need each and every single one of you to let me know. Thank you.
Hello, Shreveport. First and foremost, I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank everyone on this panel who served in the military and armed forces. And I'd like to thank every public official who took on the charge to go ahead and serve this city. My name is Darrell Arwell II, and I am the youngest mayoral candidate for the city of Shreveport. I decided to run for mayor after hearing the countless gunshots, seeing the failing infrastructure, and want to build a better economy that works for everyone at the local level. I graduated my Bachelor's of Science in Management from Louisiana Tech University with a minor in history. I'm the first African American in Cornell University's 157-year history to graduate with a Master's in Public Health and a concentration in infectious disease epidemiology. I believe we can reduce crime by recruiting more police officers, investing in community programs that prevent crime in the first place, and making sure we invest in public health interventions in communities that prevent crime and help people stay on the right path so that they don't have to go into a life of crime. In addition to that, I would like to repurpose abandoned buildings downtown and make sure that we remove blight in underserved neighborhoods to improve the infrastructure. And to build a better economy, I would like to build local businesses and attract wealthy companies that are willing to hire people and pay people what they're worth so that families can be taken care of. That's why I'm running for mayor, and let's make sure we take care of our children.
It's my turn? Good afternoon, everybody. I'm standing up because I have a powerful voice, but I will use the microphone. Anyway, I am... All right, I'm very proud to be here and to be in front of you. And I'm standing up because I'm paying homage to every single one of you. I am not from Shreveport, and as you notice, I'm a man with an accent running for mayor of Shreveport. But I would like to commend everybody for being here today. It represents really the spirit of the American unbroken spirit. The Americans are looking to the future and not to the past. And that's why I'm not talking about the past or history here. History is gone, unfortunately. We can only learn from history, not to repeat the same mistake over and over again, right? And not to vote or to indulge in the same behavior that will actually ultimately bring the same results over and over again. Definition of insanity by Albert Einstein. So I'm offering you the future and not the past. And I will also salute every single one of you who served in the military. We have many here because this is a military town, many respect. I would like to say that the grave of young Americans surround the globe for the cause of freedom, and yet the same revolutionary belief for which our fathers fought are still at issue at home and around the globe. They believe that the right of man come not from the generosity of the state. Stay home, I hand you a check, you consume some opioid, and you're fine. No. The right of man come from the hand of God, the very hand of God. We are the heir of this first revolution, and we shall never forget that, where we come from. We are not created to be in the backwash of other countries, but we were created to lead, and lead we shall, vigorously and decisively. And I ask the support of every one of you in order to give it a change finally to this city so we can finally take off. That's what we need to do, take off. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tracy Mendels. My degree is from the United States Army. That's the best that I can do in that department. Right out of high school, I went into the Army, and I spent 14 and a half years there. During that time, I developed the computer databases for my company. I was a training NCO for the company. NCO is a non-commissioned officer. I was chosen to do quarterly briefings for our Commander General. I was also an armor and a supply sergeant for 2 different companies with over $20 million involved. Excuse me. I restarted the Neighborhood Watch program at Fort Carson, Colorado. After I left active duty military, I went to work for the VA hospital in Topeka, Kansas. While I was there, I was the first female police officer to be hired. I was trained in mental health disorders and disturbed management behavior, which right now is extremely important. Once I left here, my mother got ill and she asked me to come home, back to Shreveport. I got a job with the Shreveport Police Department, and I stayed there for over 20 years. During those 20 years, I patrolled every neighborhood in this city. Not only did I work as a patrol officer, I worked as a crime scene investigator for over 10 years. The gunshots that everybody hears every night, I was there. I worked hundreds of shootings and homicides in this city. So many moms and grandmas and brothers and sisters having to watch their family members get taken away in a coroner's van. It became too much for me. I want to run and to be your mayor because my family, our future, and everything depends on what we do today. We can't wait any longer.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mario Chavez. First off, I wanted to thank the YMCA for doing this. Jeffrey, Gary, I love what you guys are doing here. This is the 3rd meeting that I've been to. The turnout wasn't as good the last 2 times. I think it may be because who's sitting amongst this table, but they're really trying to make a difference in this community. I'm a member here, and I see it from your staff when they're raising up our next generation and how they take care of our children. And I love it because the camp counselors, I see them helping the kids around the pool, I tell them, you guys are going to make great fathers. So thank you for what you're doing, not just for the adults, but for the children. It's also nice to put a name to a face. Everybody's seen the Chavez Shreveport signs all over town, and thank you for all my supporters wearing the t-shirts. Just last weekend, I was walking into a convenience store, and I was wearing my shirt, and somebody said, "You're that Chavez Shreveport guy? I thought you were a lawn guy." And I thought it was pretty funny. I said, "No, we don't do lawns and bushes." So it's nice to put a face to a name. And I mentor a lot of young men. And just a month ago, one of the young men that I was mentoring, he asked me, he said, "So how's your mayor job going?" And I told him, I said, I'm not there yet. I'm actually running for that position." And he stunned for a minute, and he looked at me, he said, "So your application is pending?" And I had to laugh, and I said, "Yeah, you know, what a juvenile way to think about it. My application is pending." And that's what I thought about is, all these people at the table, all these candidates that have decided to run for the city of Shreveport, you are the employers. And it's not going to be able to tell you our story, our life story on why we have the experience and why we're the best for the job. But you are the employers, and over the next 4 months, I welcome you to get to know each person on this, to get to know their experience. And what I like the most about, I've heard Senator Tarver say this, and I've heard Mr. Arsenault say this, we're at a point in the city of Shreveport where we've all identified at this table that it's time to work together, and that we're all doing that. Thank you guys for coming.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. First, giving all glory, giving all honor, and giving all glory to the Most High, which is the Lord. Amen. If I'm not mistaken, the moderator says she wants to hear something about the person. Well, the person, Melvin Gerard Slack Jr., that's my name. My mom named me Melvin Gerard Slack Jr. after my father. My son's name was Emmanuel Slack, or Emmanuel Laren Slack, that passed in a fire on June 4th of 2021 that I lost in the fire last year. About Melvin Slack. Melvin Slack grew up in West Monroe, Louisiana, traveling up and down I-20 to Drew Elementary School along with his mother, which was a teacher, which was a principal, which was an educator, someone that whooped my ass every day all the way to school when I couldn't answer the question that she was answering, that she was asking of me. But she made me learn. So I appreciate everything that she did for me. My mom's name is Miss Jackie S., which stands for Spivey Slack. She's a graduate of Grambling State University, where she graduated from. Along a little bit about myself again. I came up from Drew Elementary School to Richardson Junior High School in West Monroe, Louisiana, where I was transferred from there to Carroll High School, Louisiana. And I thank God for Carroll High School, Louisiana, because that's a school that taught me how to be a man, taught me integrity, taught me humbleness, and most of all, it may sound crazy, but it taught me how to fight. So I had to fight physically, mentally, and spiritually. But I thank God for the United States Army.
Thank you. We need to
where I
move on.
graduated from. Thank you.
Thank you all. So now we'll begin with the question portion of tonight. Again, each of you, there'll be 7 questions. We'll start with Senator Tarp and work our way down the table. And question 1, question 2, we'll start with Councilwoman Fuller and work its way down and so on. So my first question, again, each of you have 1 minute to provide a response. The first question is, what ideas do you have to attack crime?
Thank you.
Well, we know crime in Shreveport is an emergency, and we know what's happening in Shreveport is very, very dangerous in the streets of in Shreveport, Louisiana. I think that we need to hire someone who's basically, and you have a lot of good people. Let me say you have a lot of good people work for the Shreveport Police Department. I know, I deal with them a lot in being in Baton Rouge. I think we need to get someone who can actually manage the police department, run to the police department, be concerned about the citizens at the same time, but get rid of the criminals. It's not going to be easy. You'll have to make sure that people who are shooting today, you'll have to make sure they go to jail and make sure they prosecute it and not cut a deal all the time. I think the police department right now is doing what they can do, but they need leadership. I do have a person, and still talking to that person about the leadership.
Thank you.
I think it's important to acknowledge what has already been done. I think we do have a very good leader in Chief Wayne Smith currently, and I do want to give kudos to our current mayor for that appointment. In addition to that, I will say that I'm proud that we were able to give the 13% raise to our existing police force, but that still keeps them below the national average and the regional average, and we've got to keep striving to do better. We can talk about the technology, but I can't hit every single thing in 1 minute, but it's not just about crime enforcement of the law. It's also about what we can do to invest in our neighborhoods to prevent the crime in the first place. We have to get rid of the blight. We have to keep our neighborhoods clean and to be places that we are actually proud to live in, as well as looking at things from the enforcement side. But it would help us if we didn't drop gun charges when people get prosecuted. Thank you.
If I could give you good ideas about how to reduce crime in Shreveport in 1 minute, you should all elect me, but I can't, but I still hope you'll elect me. There are two issues. One is short-term, one is long-term. The short-term issues have to do with apprehending those that are there and building strong relationships between the patrol officers and shift commanders and the people in neighborhoods. The long-term issues are things like enforcing property standards and removing blight, because that's what creates the opportunity for the criminal element. So as a result of that, you've got to pursue both the short term and the long term. Please go to my Facebook page. You'll see a detailed outline of my ideas on dealing with crime.
Tom, I'm going to try to squeeze as much as I can in a minute to get their vote. Really quickly, just so you know, we started off in year one, we really emphasized community-oriented policing. You can't talk about unity in this community, you can't truly talk about law enforcement until you understand that there is a civil law enforcement divide. There is a large chunk of our community that does not have trust in our SPD officers. And in year one, we emphasized community-oriented policing. I got out there myself quarterly with our officers, knocking on doors, making sure our citizens understood what our officers were out there to do, and we built that relationship. It was the safest year in Shreveport in 40 years, but what happened after that? Year two, COVID hit, and crime went up across the country. We have responded to that, to the COVID spike in crime stronger than most cities in our region, and today we have a 30% drop in crime because of those investments we've made in the SPD, and other cities around this region are not experiencing that. So our policies are working, and we're looking forward to continue to implement not just pay raises for officers, but arming them with technologies to make them more effective and bridging that divide. Thank you.
In this area, we have an endemic child abuse issue. It's a very sad topic, and it's something that a lot of people around here don't know about. I did leave out the fact that I'm an attorney. Who wants another lawyer? Anyway, I practice criminal law, and I practice family law, and I practice at the juvenile court. These children who are the victims of abuse, their needs are not being addressed at home. So what happens is they turn to the streets to find that support system. The majority of the crime occurring is it's being allegedly committed by people under the age of 25, people under the age of 21, people under the age of 18. We have to address the child abuse. And when we do address the child abuse, when we hold abusers accountable, this entire area will transform. The crime will reduce, and issues with addiction, codependency, domestic abuse will decrease as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. First and foremost, we have to remember that crime is a people problem. So before we talk about arrest, let's talk about how we're taking care of our people. Children grow up and they become adults. And once a crime is committed, that is a child who is no longer following the rules that have been put in place by elected officials. With that being said, how are we educating the people who are committing crimes? How are we providing public support by the people who are committing crimes? And how are we as a community building them up and building up a strong community foundation that supports people so that they don't have to resort to a life of crime? All of these victims of crime and all of these perpetrators of crime have stories. They are people with stories, and it comes back to how are we helping them develop as human beings and how are we taking care of our children? So that's how we prevent crime. Moving forward, we will have to recruit more officers to take care of those who fall out of the basket. Thank you.
Again, my name is Julius Romano. I was a former military police. I know what come from the principle of militating a city and also what come from the principle of policing a city. It's not fun, man. I'm gonna tell you, you cannot resolve crime just putting more cops and bars all around. No, you have to be attacked from multiple fronts. Prevention is one issue. And give those people who want to work the opportunity to work, to get out of the house and support their family. That's what it is. And there are so many other. I studied this for 10 years, how to resurrect a community that is arrived to a dead end. So trust me, 300 days and I will resolve the crime. Because the crime is not resolved by itself. We, all of us, we will resolve the crime issue in this town. Thank you.
Wow, do I have an opinion on this one? I don't have enough time, but I will say that one, many of the other candidates have already hit on the broken window theory, which is where there's blight, there's violence. You can put maps side by side and they go together. We have to look at things like the NAP program. I don't know if you guys know about that. It's a neighborhood assistance team, because it's not just about the police anymore. It has to be the whole community. We have to be a village to fix this problem. We need to deal with recidivism. We need to find a way that people are not hold on. I'll tell you that COVID gets you one time and it's there forever, ain't it? But we have to find a way that people do not reoffend. And it's very hard for people right now that are convicted felons to find a job. We got to put people back to work. And a lot more.
So here's one of the biggest things that we lack as a society. We have law enforcement officers flanking me to my left, my right. I think first off, we owe them a round of applause for their hard work. Remember when we used to respect police officers and we loved them, when our kids wanted to dress up like police officers for Halloween? We need to get back to those days where we thank them and we respect them. And the police department, they can't be everything to everybody. They can't be the fathers. They can't be the teachers and the counselors. And we have to thank them for what they do. I've been on the campaign trail now for 4 months, and whenever I see a police officer, I ask them, what are the things that you need? How can we help you? And surprisingly, they said, of course, better pay. We all expected that. But they've said better equipment. So let that resonate. They've even said a day off. Believe it or not, we know they're underpaid, but they're overworked, and they need time. They need time with their families. We said prevention, but we can't get into all this right now because we only have 1 minute. So I'll delay this and we'll talk more about this.
Good evening again. We're talking about the crime. Shreveport, whether we want to say it or not, the entire city of Shreveport, the entire city, whether you're in a black neighborhood, whether you're in a white neighborhood, whether you're in a Mexican neighborhood, no matter what neighborhood you go to, guess what? This is a gangster city. You ain't got to agree with me. You got Bloods, you got Crips, you got Rolling 60s, you got the Cooper Road, you got the 19s, you got the 15s, you got the 14s. It's a gangster city. And if you don't have someone with some gangster type leadership, you're not gonna stop this crime. And what I mean by that, you got to have somebody that got street mentality. Ain't none of these people up here got no street mentality. You got to be able to go to the streets. See, we made announcements on TV. Ain't no crime going on at the Lake Perkins. Ain't no crime going on at the City Hall, Chavez. The crime is in the street. That's why I hadn't made no announcement. You better get you a gangster to run Shreveport, Louisiana if you want to stop any of this type of crime.
So Councilwoman Fuller, we'll start the next question with you. The question is...
It's okay, I'm a librarian, I'm allowed to do that.
How are you going to hire, staff, and keep police officers?
Hiring, staffing, and retaining police officers. I hear often from people who work in HR who are looking at the issue we have, having 120 short, or being 120 short on our police force, and they're saying, where are you recruiting? Where are you marketing? Where are you going to actually get police officers? And I know that we're doing our best, but we can always do more, and I look forward to having an opportunity to actually do more of that recruitment. It is about the pay, but it's also the retention is about the leadership. We have to actually do some analysis on what is going on within our ranks between patrol, between investigations, between administration, to make sure that everyone feels like they are supported. If the officers who we have on the street don't feel supported, they are going to leave. It's not just about the pay, but when the quality of life, when the amount of calls that you do on a shift is so heavy that you know that it will be a vacation to go to another suburban community where you're getting paid more, it's going to be easy for you to make that decision. And I also want to give a shout out to my father who is here tonight, retired SPD Lieutenant Everett Fuller, and I know firsthand what it's like to live in a house that's being run, a household being run by a police officer.
The people that serve in our police department are not serving for the money. They'd like to be paid more, but they're not serving for the money. They're serving because they love this city and they want it to be safer. One of the things that we can do is to make sure that they know that we appreciate it. And as mayor, I will be meeting with individual police officers to let them know that I care about them, I care about their families. And I hope that you will take the lead from me and do the same thing to let them know as you see them, just as though we say to military people in uniform, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service belongs to our members of the police force as well.
Yeah, I've challenged Chief Wayne Smith, a veteran of the police department of 40 years, to recruit 100 additional officers in the next 18 months. Now, that's very difficult, but we can do it. And some of the things that we've already done and I've already hit on, we've gave pay raises so that we can become regionally competitive. And that's always dependent on the budget. And I'll talk about the budget a little bit later, but we're going to continue to do that until we can match our region at least. We talked about equipment. Those black police cars you see riding around the city, we were able to accomplish that as well. So we're giving them the equipment and the tools that they need. We're equipping them with technologies, multiplying forces. So even though we're 120 officers down, we still have coverage in our city and we can still keep our city safe. Something that we're going to continue to do. I've called a state examiner to try to give bonuses, to try to give $10,000 bonuses, which is against civil service laws right now. But I'm going to continue to try to do everything I can to recruit officers to our city, because they're right. They do deserve a break. They're out there fighting for us each and every day. They fought for us on the front lines of the pandemic, and I have been out there personally showing them my support each and every day, going out on patrol, going down to SPD, fighting for them, and together as a community, as long as we support them, I guarantee you they're going to get that message. Thank you.
My interest is quality over quantity. We have some fantastic and amazing people on the police force right now, and unfortunately, they're considering leaving because they're not treated well. They're not appreciated. It's not just about money. It's about coming to work, feeling like your boss has your back, and feeling like you're appreciated by your coworkers and appreciated by the community. This is going to be a collective effort. The people need to get to know their patrol officers, and the patrol officers need to get to know the people. Thank you.
Today, it costs too much to be a Shreveport police officer. What do I mean by that? Right now, police officers are working overtime and taking second jobs just to pay rent and pay other bills like household essentials. I'm going to take a bit out of the current mayor's pocketbook, and I believe a better way to recruit officers will be able to find police officers like Chief Wayne Smith going down I-49, going into rural communities who find value in moving and serving and protecting a city like Shreveport, Louisiana. I do believe that police officers and other personnel should receive higher pay. I would not want to work for $35,000 a year as a police officer. I've tried working for that low cost. And I believe we need to serve our police officers the way that they are serving our community. With that being said, that's where I'd like to start.
This is important. How do we address the issue of retaining qualified personnel in the city of Shreveport? This is across the board, not just policemen. Medical field, veterinarian, you name it. I mean, I have a Leica dog here. She's running with me, and she reminds me every day of what gratitude means. Gratitude is the first of all virtue, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to be grateful to our police department, fire department. Response A, statistics says that the city of Shreveport has the highest response rate in the state of Louisiana, from King Louis XIV, man. We're talking about great police force, and I agree. We're going to find resources to finance the police. I have a plan for that. That is to say, get control of your financial situation in town and put a budget just for the police, so the police can be paid better and we can retain with innovation and true leadership, more qualified people. Thank you.
In reference to recruiting police officers, we need to not only go to places like Barksdale, Fort Hood, Fort Polk, we also need to start hitting our universities. We need to be at LSU, we need to be at Southern, we need to be at Grambling. We have multiple young people that are graduating college with criminal justice degrees, and the SPD pays a little bit extra for that too. One of the things that SPD wants, and I've talked to many because most are my friends and I'm married to one, 10-hour shifts. If they could go to 10-hour shifts, that would give them 3 days off, more time at home, more time to work extra jobs if they need to. The other thing is take-home cars, and the take-home cars not only will help them, it will also put a vehicle in your neighborhood so that people see those. Because right now the brand new cars are being hot seated constantly, 24 hours a day, because there's not quite enough.
So how do we retain and recruit? I mentioned respect. That's the retention. You may not know I'm a business owner. I've been an employer for 20 years. So I do this on a day-to-day basis on how do I recruit new employees. And it's all about taking care of your employees. Civil service law may dictate we can't offer bonuses, but you'd be surprised on this new generation what they like as bonuses. Days off, vacation time, gym memberships. There's a lot of things that this new generation, and we have to think out of the box. How can we incentivize them to stay? She mentioned Barksdale. I agree with that. I'm also a military veteran. I fought in combat over in Iraq in 2004. What I saw us do in the military is we offered sign-on bonuses. If we had a depletion of a specific type of soldier that we needed, we offered a sign-on bonus. We had one-time monies come down from the federal government. We can figure out, by being innovative, on how to get this done. If we have to go to Baton Rouge to fight civil service law, to take care of our officers, then that's what we have to do. Thank you.
Good evening again. New Orleans, unfortunately, used to be the murder capital of the world. But believe it or not, Shreveport, we earned that title as the murder capital of the world for Shreveport, Louisiana. And what I would like to do as mayor, whether they like it or not, I would like to give all the police officers at least $30 an hour. I would like them to be the highest paid police officers in the world because this is the highest crime area in the world. But guess what? We can't do that if I'm the mayor and I'm spending all this money at the Essence Festival. I can't do that. I can't do that if I'm spending all this money on all these fancy cars. I can't do that. I can't do that if I got all these big old houses and townhouses. I can't do that. But I can do that if I start saving money and stop spending all the money I want to spend on myself and spend it on where it needs to be spent on. Because a lot of these police officers have flats, can't even fix a flat. Run out of gas, don't even have gas at Circle K, sitting there trying to get coffee early in the morning, can't afford coffee.
Thank you.
Pay the people.
I've served in the legislature for 30 years, and I've always supported police officers. In my conversation with police officers, they're tired of arresting the same guy over and over again. They're tired of the revolving door plan that we have. They're tired of the low bonds that we have. And that is one of the things that policemen are tired of. Yes, they need a raise. We gave them a raise in the legislature this year from the state portion. But at the same time, we need to respect them, let them do their job, and don't put them in jail for doing their job.
So Tom, this next question will start with you. And the question is, how are you going to create jobs?
Great question. Economic development for a city involves making it easier for people who are already here to form businesses and to expand their businesses. Most of the large employers that will come to Shreveport come because of the Louisiana economic development, because of the tax benefits and the grants that are made, the loans that are made for those things. So the mayor's job is to make sure that we are making efficient the permit process. We're making efficient the process to get a business and to keep that business. Think about if every small business in Shreveport was able to add a half an employee a year. If we are able to do that and focus on local businesses, which sometimes we ignore, we can grow our own here without worry about how much we pay to bring somebody in.
I'm going to answer this question starting off with some statistics. Shreveport's economy right now is actually the second fastest recovering economy in the state of Louisiana. We're projected to have over 2,000 new jobs in the next 24 months. Unemployment, we've already recovered, and the unemployment rate has already matched what it was before COVID-19. Our economic development policies here are working. When I came into the office, we had economic development entities in the city alone, pushing in various different directions. We've been working alongside them, and I made a campaign promise that we would have an economic development team at City Hall, and that's what we have now. We went from 1 person to 4 people, and we're going to continue to grow that as long as we're seeing progress, and that's what we're seeing right now. We're not just talking about bringing in jobs, though. Livable wage jobs are critical, and that's what we're focusing on. That gets after those crime problems we're having and so many other problems we have in our community. So our economic development policies right now are working.
As far as creating jobs around here, I would like to promote local entrepreneurship. We have multiple schools, universities, educating our people. We have so many smart, talented, creative, hardworking people. They just need some place to go, basically. Whenever I first moved back here, I moved back in 2017, I got to know the Shreveport Chamber of Commerce. Unifying local entrepreneurs, people interested in starting their own businesses, running their own businesses, they can be unified with the Shreveport Chamber of Commerce, which will get them legal, help them avoid liability, help them be successful business people who can also provide jobs to other people. Thank you.
Yeah, so looking at the economy and how do we build it, we look at Shreveport, Louisiana, we look at what do we already have. We have healthcare, we have casinos, and we have people who build things with their bare hands. We can attract companies and people who want a labor pool that's gonna work hard at maximum capacity and work efficiently to support their business models. We can make sure that happens by creating tax incentives that are business friendly, but also make sure that their employees are properly paid so that they can take care of their families. I believe that I have the capacity to attract investors and attract business owners to make sure that we build a more prosperous Shreveport, Louisiana.
Julius Romano, and I'm reading out of my plan here. I am also, beside being a military commander, military police commander, I'm also a professor, right? So I study this stuff. Here is leadership equal job. Jobs equal leadership and opportunity. Bring in town new companies from all over the world that want to be here. And they want to be here, let me tell you. You don't know what's happening in Europe. They are fleeing left and right. Airport hubs, no more subsidized handful of flights, Bacon, TATS, Southwest, JetBlue, whatever it is, whatever color they have, discount company, and let's bring it in town and change from, we in the 70s, when my uncle was here working in the oil field, right? There were 50 flights a day, and now there are barely 15, subsidized. International connection networking equal jobs, city improvement equal jobs, contract equal jobs, taxes equal jobs. Let's move, ladies and gentlemen, let's move ahead. True leadership, not salesmanship. Leadership, that's what we need. Thank you, Laika. Thank you, everybody.
One of the things that we have to do is we need to train our workforce. We have to make ourselves look good to employers, to businesses coming into our city. So we need to get people, whether it be blue collar, white collar, it does not matter. We have got to get people trained, and we need to start down at the GED and the high set level. And it's time that we start going where people are. We can't sit right here and do anything. We have got to go out into the community where people are, and a lot of people need to be grabbed by the hand, and we need to take them and help them, because a lot of people, their self-esteem and their self-confidence is gone, and we got to help them rebuild. And with that, we bring a workforce.
So I have a unique perspective on this because I am a job creator. My wife and I both own businesses. I have owned mine for 20 years, and we both are job creators. We moved here because General Motors shut down in Van Nuys, California, and then unfortunately the plant shut down here. Shreveport used to make things. We used to build things. We used to send them out over the interstate. We used to make phones at Western Electric. We no longer do that. So we see what happens with all those plant closures. So the way to increase revenue, the way to make jobs, is to build stuff here and send it out of the borders of the city of Shreveport. How do we do that? We're poised to be the next great tech hub of the South. We're already a medical corridor. We need to capitalize on that, build more on that, but we have a Tier 3 data center right here in our city where we could build software, where we could send it out over the internet, not over the interstate, and work on a global scale. Everybody in this room operates on a global scale. If you bought something at Target or Walmart, you operate on a global scale. Why is Shreveport not? It's time to start.
Good evening again. We're talking about creating jobs. One thing I do believe in is entrepreneurship, because I'm an entrepreneur myself. We ignore some of the greatest millionaires, some of the greatest billionaires, whether they're black or white. You got people like Bill Gates, billionaire, Master P, billionaire, Jay-Z, billionaire. We ignore these type of people because we think they from a bad area, from the slums. But if we could bring people like them in this city and do what you call educate the youngsters, show them how to mow, show them how to wash a car, show them how to mow a yard, show them how to cut a tree, show them how to do anything that their mind is capable of doing, and then allow them to be able to work on a 24-hour basis around the city, and allowing all these community centers that we're using like right now, keep them over 24 hours so these kids can do something. Stop ignoring it. We can create jobs. Stop ignoring it. We got great men all over the world. Stop ignoring it.
We need to make Shreveport more business friendly, especially the MPC. They are running business out of Shreveport. 2 businesses left Shreveport and went to Blanchard. And let me say something else to you. Where have we been? We have jobs, but we don't have the people to fill the jobs. I'm in business. You cannot find truck drivers in Shreveport. You can't find people to do the work that you have jobs opening right now. You have about 10 or 15,000 jobs opening in Shreveport right now, and you cannot find people. Go look on the door of every place that you go, you say, need help. Even the hamburger places, need help. Everybody. Well, we need to retrain people. We need to get people to go back to work. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, after the pandemic, people just quit and stopped working. In Louisiana, it's 60,000 people just walked off their job and you don't know where they are. So we need to be more business friendly, and at the same time, we need to train people and go and help people to find people for jobs, because let me tell you, there's plenty of jobs out there right now.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to hear so many people say that they want to support the spirit of entrepreneurship in this community, because we do make things. We're just making them on a small scale, but all of those things can be scaled up. What we have to do as far as policies go inside our administrative practices is say yes. We have to say yes first. When you say that the MPC is shutting things down, what they actually do is they kind of go, we've never done that before, I don't know if we can do that, instead of just saying yes and working from there so that we can do the things that the entrepreneurs with the big ideas want to do. The other thing about workforce development goes back to what you learn in education about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you don't think a child can learn when they don't feel safe, fed, and clothed, how do you think their parents feel when they're growing up and when they're raising their children in unsafe environments? They can't learn the new skills for workforce development if they don't have those things done too. And part of that is on us. We have to fix up our city. We have to make it a place we can be proud of. Thank you.
Mayor Perkins, we'll start with you this time. The question is, how do we make it easy to do business in Shreveport?
Yeah, so the way that we can make it easier, and it's been a mission for us to cut that red tape. Like I said, that's the reason why we have jobs here. And yes, we have a lot of need help jobs here, but that was not the reality in 2018. So we are making progress. But one thing that we're doing is we're working to reform the MPC and all those rules. And we're able to do that now as a city of Shreveport because it's no longer dual control between the parish and the city. There were so many amendments that sat at the MPC idle because the parish would not act on them. But now that the MPC is now a city department, we're able to reform the MPC much faster. And you're going to see, I guarantee you, our business community is going to see night and day going forward and being able to attract businesses. We're also seeing record-setting revenue numbers in our city every single quarter because how well businesses are doing. There's a lot of narratives out there, but if you look at the numbers, all the numbers are saying that our economy is going forward, and we're going to continue those practices that are working for each and every citizen in Shreveport. Thank you.
Okay, how to make it easier to do business in the city of Shreveport. Once again, we have plenty of talented, qualified people. I'm about to do some advertising right now. Those people just don't know how to cut through the red tape of bureaucracy, basically, to file their paperwork with the state. So if we can let these people know the legal steps that they need to take to be qualified, AKA consult with an attorney. An attorney can help streamline the business process. Also, back to the Shreveport Chamber of Commerce, they can help these local businesses be more streamlined and avoid liability. And they can help them understand the local laws and ordinances. Oftentimes, business owners, small business owners, they get frustrated and beat down by the bureaucracy and the red tape. We have to educate people so that they can do business more easily. It just simply comes down to education.
In order to make it easier to start and sustain business in Shreveport, Louisiana, we have to have more local control. Earlier in the year, I went to Baton Rouge at the state capitol to advocate on behalf of a bill proposed by Senator Pope. And that was to create more local control over the taxes that businesses pay throughout the city of Shreveport. Right now, the state is using this outdated format that puts the control of Louisiana and local city dollars in the state's hands as opposed to the people who actually benefit from this. And I advocated on behalf of this bill with teachers and other advocates and nonprofits who want to see those tax dollars go to schools so that we can build better schools and make sure that we improve education in Louisiana, because we rank nearly at the bottom of the entire list within the United States of America when it comes to education. So we have to get more local control so that we can build out streets like North Market, like the Caddo Parish Commission is doing with the ITEP, in order to build more business. Think about where North Market could be within the next 5 years.
Julius Romano here. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I've studied this as well. I came here today prepared. There are companies in Europe looking forward to come here tomorrow. I'm not joking. And why? Code Napoleon. The law in French Louisiana is European law. The only country in 52 states which has all the requirement for European company to come here. And why? Because the law in Europe is the Code Napoleon. The French Napoleonic Code. The same code in Europe is here, and it's the only state. So they will find it easy to come here and adapt here in the system of Louisiana. Let's offer them the infrastructure that we have, tax-free. Why we don't do that? Why we keep this building empty? Why we keep the infrastructure decaying? We have the opportunity. Let's grab the opportunity and the fortune from the front, because in the back, as you see, is bold fortune. Let's do it. Thank you.
In reference to bringing jobs, making it easier to bring jobs to Shreveport, it's obviously going to be a multifaceted issue. One of the main things that we can do is look at tax incentives, but I want to go past that. I want to look past the box. We have to make our city attractive. We have to do something with the crime, and we have to do something with the trash everywhere, the roads. No matter what neighborhood you live in Shreveport, you're going to wear whatever you're drinking, whether it's legal or not. And so we have got to do something with the roads. Why would you want to bring a business to Shreveport in the condition that it's in right now? So, like I said, it's multifaceted. Thank you.
How do we make it easier to do business with the city of Shreveport? I can say I'm an expert on this one because I was named the 2016 Minority Business Owner of the Year by the Shreveport Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, guys. When it comes to doing business, why are you a great business? Because of customer service. You look at any business, the reason why they're great is customer service. They could sell a bad product, but if you left feeling good about the experience, then you'll go back again and again. I'll tell you what, I had some colleagues on this board mention the MPC. I went to help a business owner on my lunch break one day, and the door was just barely ajar. I pushed it open, I walked in, the lights were out. I found it strange, so I said, hello. Somebody walked down and they said, how'd you get in here? Which I thought was an abnormal question when you walk through a door, so I said the door. And they said, well, it should be locked. And I said, it should be locked, why? And they said, well, because we're all out on our lunch break. Guys, on our lunch break. When an aspiring entrepreneur comes on their lunch break to open a business and we're shut down, I want to let you guys know they're open for lunch now, by the way.
Good evening again. We're talking about how do we get jobs easier in Shreveport. Well, I don't know about you all, but I'm going to stand on my own on this one. My dad always told me nothing was easy in life. You had to work for it. My dad always said a job is just like a game. First thing about a game, you got to watch the game. Michael Jordan was the greatest, but he had to get cut first. It's just like a game. After you get through watching the game, you got to get in there and play the game. You got to learn how to use tools and different mechanisms in order to work. You got to be able to watch the game. And then once you watch the game, you got to be able to get in there and play the game. So once you get in there and play the game and learn how to do the game, that's when you have to do what you call Michael Jordan the game. And what I mean by Michael Jordan the game, you got to be the greatest in whatever you do. Just be the greatest in whatever you do. But nothing is easy in life. Earn what you get.
Shreveport, it's hard to do business in Shreveport because of the MPC and other problems. It's very difficult. Who want to come to Shreveport, like the lady said, it's dirty, it's filthy. We need to clean up our neighborhoods. We need to clean up the highways. We have all of these criminals that's in jail. Let's utilize them and put them out and work. People look at Shreveport, and every time I say I'm from Shreveport, they say, oh yes, I was there last week, it was dirty. We need to do something about cleaning up the city of Shreveport. We need to do something about crime. People are not coming here in Shreveport to do a business, and you have all this crime in Shreveport.
With regards to what the administration has control over when it comes to making it easier to do business with the city, it comes down to the red tape and it comes down to consistency. There are too many inconsistent practices, and more than that, you don't know where to go when you want to get started. You have permitting, you've got building occupancy, you have zoning. There should be a checklist that just helps you get a roadmap to just get through everything you need to get done. But you can't do that if those if those departments within the city aren't working together. So the first step is to streamline the way they work together, then streamline the process, and then make that process apparent to any business, big or small, that wants to do business in this community. Thank you.
It starts with attitude, and attitude starts at the top. What we have to do is change what we have now to have a can-do attitude instead of a can't-do attitude. And that starts with the mayor. It starts with a mayor who's listening to local business people, listening to local developers to find out what it is that they need, not to bend rules, be consistent with rules, but to make sure that we help people find ways to do things instead of not to do things. That attitude, that change will make a world of difference in a very short time.
So we want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we're not going to go through any other questions. We're now going to jump to the final piece of the forum, which is each candidate having 1 minute to talk about why he or she should be
my fellow Americans, we are in this year together. We cannot do anything like this
organism work. And what I'll say civilly and still have that trust and respect. To let that friction, that iron sharpen iron, our policy differences be discussions that make our policies and procedures better. That's how we're going to bring Shreveport together. We're not going to unify behind a lie. We're going to bring all of our truth together and figure out where we can compromise and where we can improve. And that's how we're going to be the beacon of the South and of the world. Thank you for your time tonight.
This election really is about all of you deciding who can do the best. I'm running for mayor of Shreveport for one and only one reason. I love the city, and I believe that I have the maturity and experience to work with all the various components and body parts of the city to work together to move us forward. I asked in a column last week, can these dry bones live? Oh yes, they can. This is a great city full of great people, and if we work together, we can breathe life into those dry bones. Tonight, I ask you for your vote and your support for Mayor of Shreveport.
I'm going to stand on the last question because we're about to wrap this up, but I want to end where I started and say thank you all for coming out. I love each and every one of you because I love this city, and you all are what makes this city. I want you all to think about what you heard tonight when you hear about the stories, and understand this: we all have agendas, every single one of us up here. But we like stories, we like narratives, just being humans. I want you all to look at the actual narrative that matches up with the numbers, and understand and not take for granted the progress that this city has made through a pandemic, through an economic crisis. Guys, we are turning this ship around, and we can actually do so much more if we come together. The things that have been pointed out, crime, unity, you think those things started in 2019 in Shreveport? We have to work, and it's going to take way more than 3 years. But I promise you, if I get your vote, we're going to continue to move this city forward together. Thank you.
And I just wanted to thank everyone again for being here. And I just wanted to thank, most important, all of you being so respectful, so engaged. And I wanted to do the same to all the candidates. I want to thank you all for making the time to be here and to be so respectful of one another. And I want to give all of you time to go to your respective tables. And thank you so much.